Good morning. My name is Dr. Kelly Blasco, and I work for the Defense Health Agency in Connected Health Branch. I'm here to talk to you about the Provider Resilience Toolkit that we have put together to help with the stressors, the ongoing stressors with the COVID pandemic. So when I speak of providers, I think the first comes to mind is healthcare providers. But I also want to highlight that there are many other ways that people are helping our military community. So our military family life consultants, people in our youth centers, people that medics, and so on. And this toolkit I'm going to talk about will be helpful to all of those folks. No one would have imagined that we were still in the marathon of the COVID pandemic. And so we wanted to kind of reignite this idea of provider resilience. So we put together this toolkit, which really has three key components to it. First is we want to give tips so that people can recognize when they have burnout. And the first symptoms of burnout are usually anxiety, kind of disengagement, and depression. But one of the areas that has emerged recently is that many providers are much more isolated, and it was an unanticipated stressor. So they may be isolated from their colleagues because they're doing telehealth, but also from their families and their friends, because not necessarily being able to be with them for whether they're quarantined or even just not being with social distancing. So the second step, once you identify kind of those burnout symptoms for yourself, is really to do some self-care. Now, each of us have our own ways that we do self-care, but this toolkit also recommends some other things, and I'll go into that in a second. And finally, as I mentioned, because of the isolation, it's really important to have meaningful connections. So reaching out to that friend, reaching out to loved ones, making sure you do video chats so you can see people, make sure that you bring joy in your life with these connections. So also, what I want to recommend is some digital health tools. So even though you're isolated or feeling anxiety, we have some tools that are apps and a podcast that might be really helpful to you. So we have the Provider Resilience app that really helps you track how you're doing, your quality of life, and burnout. We have the virtual hope box that is a way to develop positive coping skills, distraction, reminders of things that have brought you joy in the past and currently. We have a Breathe to Relax app that I'd like to recommend. That's with progressive muscle relaxation that really, really can calm you, especially times of stress. And finally, we have a military meditation coach podcast that I find personally really, really helpful. There's a series, over 40 different meditations, and you can find one that works for you. I know for me, there's one on loving kindness, and there's some of guided imagery through calm places. So I really wanted to highlight that for you. And also, we have a toolkit. So if you want to know about these resources, or you want to share them with your friends or even your organization, you can go to the URL that'll be in the feed to find out, to get that kind of information. And I also want to highlight that we've actually done 3 interview videos with other providers. We have one with a psychologist who talks about self-compassion. We haven't launched the next one, but we also have one from a public health captain who talks about her role in force health protection and different ways to cope. And then the third one, which is pretty exciting, is we talked with a medic who we know has been on the front line, not just during COVID, but also during deployments. And he has some really great suggestions. So stay tuned, check back to the Provider Resilience Toolkit, and please take care of yourself and take care of your others who you know that are really providing the care that we all need, our military community needs at this time. So stay safe and well, and take care.